My name is Chris. I'm Community and Systems Navigator at John Howard Society, which basically means I help with everything from the point that someone's released from being incarcerated, getting things sorted out, like getting their IDs replaced, finding housing. A lot of the times when people are getting out of the system, they end up in a shelter where they're exposed to people that are still struggling with addiction, people that are still breaking the law. So we try to mediate things, make sure that all the resources that they need are provided so that they can hopefully break their crime cycle and stay out of jail. So that's mostly what I do around here, but that's a little bit of everything. So a halfway house is for people that are on parole. When they are released, they go to a halfway house. It's just a way to monitor their progress, to make sure that they have some time to get back on their feet before they're out in the community doing it on their own. Sometimes people don't have the proper supports in place to make sure that they're going to succeed and not just end up back in jail because they don't have another option. Sometimes there's different programs available to help with that journey, and we also supplement those programs as well. So John Howard was an Englishman in the 18th century who was captured by the French. He spent 5 years in a dungeon before he was released in a prisoner exchange deal. After that, he advocated for a state-controlled prison system so that some rules were in place and just to create a healthy environment. So John Howard Society was named after him, and to this day we still spend time in prisons advocating for prisoners' rights. In 2007, this branch of John Howard Society, Simcoe Muskoka branch, was formed, and so we are servicing this area, and we are based primarily out of Barrie, but we also have an office in Aurelia. People can drop into our office at any time if they need food or clothes. We do a lot of court support stuff, so people that are, need to make their virtual appearance via Zoom, sometimes they need help. They need some guidance with the legal aid process, sometimes just to request their disclosure. So we assist people with all those sorts of things. A lot of the times it's people looking for a short-term solution, like they're hungry, they need some food, they're cold, they need some clothes. It's tough sometimes because we don't have the funding to support everybody, and there's been a huge increase in need for our services since the pandemic. There's been a steady rise in homelessness, people dealing with the justice system, addiction, mental health issues, and there hasn't been an increase in funding that matches the increase in need that we've had. So that's something that we're constantly trying to fill those gaps with fundraising initiatives and whatever we can do to help. Sometimes as part of someone's release conditions, or it could be a requirement from a parole or probation officer, individuals come to us for programming, things like emotions management, relapse prevention. These are all things that are going to help decrease the chance of recidivism, and so we try to assist as many people as we can. Our programs are basically in place to ensure that people have the tools to avoid going back to jail or to prison, and sometimes that's all it takes, is just for someone to be shown what they can do differently. John Howard Society provides a crucial service to those in a time of need. When people are the most vulnerable, when they're homeless, or when they've just been released from prison or jail, they need the resources to ensure that they don't have to resort to crimes of survival, or they're not exposed to people that are still using drugs while they're trying to get back on their feet. So those are some of the things that we assist with. A lot of the times people just don't have the family support or really support out in the community that they need to make changes in their lives. So we do things like help them find housing, more permanent, stable housing, get their IDs replaced, get them into programming and stuff like that. And some of these Band-Aid solutions, until they're on the right path, like getting them food and clothing so that so they can survive. So when people are released from jail or from prison, they can come talk to us. They can set up like some informal counseling, and we can kind of gauge what their needs are based on their specific situations. Sometimes people don't have any family support, so they need someone to talk to, or someone to kind of guide them through the whole process of being on parole. And sometimes it's a required part of their parole conditions where they have to come to us to do programming. So we kind of make sure that all their needs are taken care of. It's kind of a one-stop shop to make sure that they're fed, they're clothed. Basically just make sure that they're not going to end up back in prison over something that can be prevented. And a lot of the times it's just having that support. So we try to fill that space. So our bottle drive was created as it's a grassroots effort to basically provide some funding that we aren't able to get from other sources. Like I said, there's a constant increase in need for our services, but there hasn't been the same increase in funding from the city or from the county. So in order to make sure that we have winter jackets to give to people, or whatever might be needed, harm reduction supplies, we've turned to other ways of raising money. The bottle drive is something that's gained a lot of attention because it's so easy for anybody to get involved. It doesn't really take money out of your pocket. It's money that you've spent on yourself, and it's something that's gained a lot of attention in the community, I think, because it's for a good cause, and people can see that there's a need for these types of services in our city and in our county or community. If you wanted to make a donation, you could drop into our Barrie or Orillia office, or you can contact us to set up a time for pickup if you've got a larger shipment of empties. If anyone wants to get involved by volunteering with us, you can find us on our webpage or on our social media pages, and you can find our contact info, or you can drop by Orillia or Barrie office at any time and talk to one of us here.